Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Jenna's phone buzzed on the counter, and I grabbed it. A preview lit up the screen before the lock came on, and I saw my name in the wrong sentence. "Did you delete the pictures from last night your boyfriend could see?" My brain stalled on those two words, last night. I swiped up for the passcode out of pure reflex, even though I already knew enough to choke. I am Nate, 32, and that was the exact second my life cracked. I typed her code with hands that suddenly felt clumsy, like they belonged to someone else. The message thread opened without a fight, cheerful little bubbles lined up like they were harmless. There were more texts from that number, way more than I expected. Every new line I scrolled over made my chest pound harder. "Worth the risk. Wish you had stayed. I can still smell you." I read them out loud in my head like I was trying to prove this was real. For a stupid second I hoped I had misread everything, even with the proof burning my eyes. The door clicked and she walked in, keys jingling in that casual way that used to calm me. Her gaze dropped to the counter, then to the phone in my hand, and her face tightened. "What are you doing with my phone?" I held it up, screen bright, the last message sitting there like a dare. "Want to explain this, or should I read it out loud?" She took one step closer and then stopped, like the air between us turned solid. "It's not what it looks like." That line almost made me laugh, honestly. "It looks like you slept with someone and forgot to clear the chat." Her jaw clenched, and that tiny pause told me way more than any excuse. "You went through my phone again." She folded her arms, using anger like a shield. I could feel my own anger fighting with this heavy grief, like two waves slamming together. "If you had nothing to hide, I would not find this kind of trash." The words came out sharper than I planned, but I did not pull them back. She moved around me and grabbed the phone, eyes flicking over the messages. Her shoulders sagged for half a second, then she straightened like she had rehearsed this. It was one mistake and I was drunk and we were fighting. There it was, the little script already loaded. I stared at her and tried to remember when exactly I became someone you cheat on. One mistake does not get its own highlight reel. I pointed at the long thread of messages, my finger shaking just enough to betray me. "This is weeks, maybe months of you sneaking around while I watch Mia and pay bills." The room felt smaller with every word, like the walls were not on my side either. She rolled her eyes, which honestly hurt more than the actual texts. "You always do this, you go straight to victim mode." She paced once, then leaned on the counter like she needed a prop. "We have been stressed, money has been tight, you barely look at me, you just work and nag." Every sentence was another little twist, shifting blame inch by inch. I heard my own pulse in my ears and still caught how she never said she was sorry. "I wish I could tell you I stayed calm." I did not. "Are you serious right now? You screw around and I am the problem." My hand hit the counter, loud enough to make her flinch. In that moment I was not thinking about being fair, I just wanted her to feel even a slice of my shock. "You think you're perfect." Her voice rose, cracked, then steadied like she forced it into shape. "You act like a martyr, like you saved us, but you hold everything over my head, every dollar, every favor." That one actually landed because some of it was true, and I hated that. I never saw myself as generous, I saw myself as doing what had to be done. Here's the messed up part. Even while she attacked, I wanted her to say something that would make this fixable. An honest apology, a breakdown, anything that sounded like real regret. Instead, she kept building this weird case where cheating was some twisted side effect of my effort. I could feel my sympathy draining with every sentence she threw at me. We both froze when we heard the soft shuffle in the hallway. I turned and there was Mia, hugging that stuffed animal to her chest like it was armor. Her hair was a mess from sleep, and her eyes were wide, searching our faces. "What is going on?" That small voice sliced through me in a way the messages never could. I forced my tone flat, careful, because she did not deserve my rage. "Nothing you did, kiddo, you should be in bed." She stepped closer instead of backing away, gaze moving between us. "Why are you yelling? Are you leaving again?" Her bottom lip trembled, and yeah, that almost broke me right there. Jenna rushed to her, hands out, voice suddenly sweet. Baby, it is fine, adults just had a misunderstanding. Go back to your room, okay? The switch in her tone made my skin crawl like I was watching a stranger slip on a costume. Mia did not move, she just stared at me, waiting for my answer, not hers. I realized in that silence that whatever I said next would mark me in her memory. I crouched to Mia's height, my knees stiff, my heart all over the place. We are arguing, yeah, but this is between me and your mom, not you. I wanted to say I would never leave, but the words stuck because I was not sure anymore. I need some air, that is all, you did nothing wrong. She nodded, but fear stayed in her eyes like I had turned off a light and left her there. Jenna shot me a tight look over Mia's head, a mix of warning and panic. If you walk out like this, you will destroy her, do you get that? Funny thing, she never said you will destroy me. It was always about how my choices would wreck everything, never about how hers already had. The guilt hit hard because she was right about one thing, Mia would pay either way. I grabbed my keys from the hook, the metal clatter way louder than usual. My hands shook so much that one key slipped and hit the floor. I did not pick it up, I just let it lie there between us like some stupid symbol. Mia stepped forward, reaching for my sleeve, eyes glossy. Are you coming back tomorrow? My throat locked up, which for me is rare, I usually have something to say. I wanted to give her a solid yes, like you hear in movies. Instead, I looked at Jenna, then at the phone still on the counter, screen finally dark. I do not know yet, kiddo, I really do not. Her fingers slipped from my arm, slow, like she was trying to hold time in place. I walked to the door, every step heavier than the last. Behind me, I heard Jenna whisper something to Mia, words too soft to catch, but I felt the accusation anyway. My hand paused on the handle, useless little moment where I imagined staying, pretending I had never seen that chat. I opened the door instead, letting the cold air hit my face like a slap. The last thing I heard before it shut was Mia calling my name, and that sound is still stuck in my head. My phone rattled on the edge of the couch and almost fell. I grabbed it on instinct, ready to throw it down again. Unknown number, same area code, my stomach knew before my brain. I answered anyway because I am apparently built to torture myself. Hello, my voice sounded like I had swallowed sand. Where are you? It was Mia, not her mother. That shook me more than any fight with Jenna ever did. She breathed fast into the receiver, little gasps between words. Why did you leave? Did I do something wrong? The question punched me straight in the chest. I am staying with a friend for a while, it is not your fault. You missed movie night, her voice cracked on the last word. You always do voices, Mom tried, but it was weird. She sniffled hard, then whispered like she was hiding. She was crying in the kitchen, I heard her on the floor. Every part of me wanted to hang up and run over. Instead, I sat up and pressed my fingers into my forehead. How long has she been like that? I knew the answer already. Since you slammed the door, another shaky breath rustled through the speaker. She keeps looking at your chair like you might walk in. Then she dropped the landmine, are you still my dad or not? I closed my eyes because suddenly the room tilted sideways. Yeah, I am still yours, that part does not just vanish. Then why are you not here? The question came out sharp. Before I could respond, I heard footsteps and a quick whisper. The line rustled and then Jenna's voice came through, rough and low. You had no right to answer when she called you. I almost laughed at that, from raw disbelief more than humor. You gave her my number, I did not recruit her. She exhaled like she wanted to blow a hole through me. She is a wreck, she will not eat, she throws up from crying. That image sliced through my anger faster than any apology. I saw Mia curled up by the couch, clutching that stuffed toy. I told you this would happen if you walked out, Jenna pushed. Congratulations, you proved your point, we are shattered. The guilt hooked in even while I hated the manipulation. What do you want from me exactly? I leaned forward, elbows on knees. Her answer came fast, like she had rehearsed the script already. Come over, talk to her, help with homework, tuck her in. The list sounded almost normal, like we had not blown up days ago. I am not coming back to pretend nothing happened, I am not insane. I am not asking for that, she rushed, words tripping over each other. You can stay in the spare room, door shut, whatever makes you feel safe. Something in her tone shifted, less rage, more bargaining. Just help me through this week, she will fail school at this rate. I stayed silent long enough to hear her start to panic. Look, we both messed up, you included. That part stung because she was right. I should never have crossed that line, you should not have ghosted us. She inhaled, held it, then lowered her voice again. Please do not. Punish her for what I did, she adores you. That sentence sat there heavy, impossible to push away. Here is the messy truth, I wanted to defend my exit. I wanted to throw every betrayal in her face again. Instead, I pictured Mia's eyes when she asked if I was coming back. I will come by, but I am not moving back in with you. I heard a tiny exhale, half relief, half fear of what that meant. Outside the apartment building, my hand hovered over the door buzzer. If I pressed it, things changed again, lines blurred again. If I walked away, I turned into the man who abandoned a child. I hit the button before I could talk myself out of it. The intercom crackled and Mia's excited shout exploded through the speaker. She yanked the door open before it fully unlocked, hair wild from rushing. You came, she launched into me so hard I staggered back. Her arms wrapped around my waist and she just stayed there. For a second everything went quiet in my head, just that hug. Then I saw Jenna behind her, watching, arms folded tight. I stepped inside without crossing the imaginary line into the living room. Ground rules, I said, because if I did not start now, I never would. I am here tonight for her, not because we fixed anything. Jenna nodded too quickly, like she had practiced the gesture in a mirror. Understood, you can keep your distance, I just need help with her. Mia pulled my hand, come on, my project is due tomorrow. She dragged me toward the table already covered in papers. Her voice sped up as she explained some science thing I barely followed. She kept glancing at my face after every sentence, checking if I was listening. I forced myself to stay present, even while my brain tracked Jenna's every move. At one point, Jenna walked past us and set a glass near me. She did not look at my face, just focused on the table. You skipped dinner, she said quietly, like we were mid-normal evening. I ignored the offer, eyes on the assignment in front of me. If I accepted anything simple, the slope back to normal would be fast. We spent an hour wrestling with that project, cutting and writing. Mia laughed at one stupid joke I made, head thrown back. That sound hurt almost as much as the crying earlier, just in a different way. I realized how fast kids bounce when they think the adults might stabilize. That hope made me feel like I was stealing from her by leaving again. When the homework finally sat complete, she leaned on my shoulder. Will you read tonight, or are you leaving right away? The question landed soft, but underneath was pure panic. I will stay for one story, I answered, already knowing I was lying. She grabbed my hand again like she could anchor me in place. In her room, she climbed into bed faster than usual, no resistance. She watched me pick a book from the small stack near her pillow. Not that one, she whispered, pointing to another that we knew by heart. The routine hit me harder than any argument in the kitchen. Her voice loosened finally, like she trusted I would hold the night together. Halfway through the story, I felt her breathing slow against my arm. I finished reading anyway, for me more than for her. When I closed the book, she stirred and grabbed my sleeve. Do not go, she mumbled, eyes still shut but voice clear. I stayed there longer than I should have, counting every breath. When I finally eased my arm free, she clutched the blanket instead. I kissed the top of her head, then stepped quietly into the hallway. Jenna waited there, leaning against the wall like she had been for a while. She calmed down for the first time since you left, she whispered. Her shoulders dropped and I could tell she was about to push again. I cannot keep doing these emergency visits, I said before she started. This half-in, half-out thing will break me and it will shred her. She nodded, but her jaw flexed like she wanted to argue. Then do not make it temporary, she said, voice barely above a murmur. Move into the spare room, we keep things clear, we parent together. I hated how reasonable that sounded on the surface. You really think we can live down the hall from each other after everything? We already live in the fallout, she answered, hands twisting at the hem of her shirt. At least this way she has you here at night, not on a different couch somewhere. She looked toward the closed bedroom door, eyes wet but steady. You said you would block him, I threw in, because I needed something solid. Her mouth tightened, then she nodded once, sharp and quick. I will show you my phone, I already cut it off, you can check. The idea of going through her messages again made my skin crawl. Still, the offer mattered, and she knew exactly how to use it. "I need time," I muttered, heading for the entryway, keys already in hand. "You have until tomorrow," she answered, which irritated me more than I expected. "I am not on a countdown, you see." "Read it." I stared at the door instead of her. She softened her voice again, changing tactics like she always did. "Every night you are gone, she learns not to trust promises." That line followed me all the way back to the couch I was using. My friend looked up from his game when I walked in, eyebrows raised. "So you went," he said, no judgment, just stating the obvious. I dropped onto the cushion and let my head fall back. "She wants me in the spare room, just for Mia, no strings." He let out a short, ugly laugh that summed up 9 years of experience. "Right, no strings, just a full web." I glared at him, even though I knew he was not wrong. "Do you think I am an idiot for even considering it?" He stayed quiet for a moment, which hurt more than any insult. "You love that kid," he said finally, voice softer than before. "That is not stupid, that is just dangerous when the gatekeeper is your ex." I rubbed my face hard, trying to scrub off the guilt and confusion. If I stay away, she hurts. If I move back, I hand Jenna leverage again. Neither option felt clean, which is probably why I chose the messy middle. The next afternoon, I stood outside the apartment with a duffel bag. One bag, not everything, that was my compromise with myself. I rang the bell and heard quick footsteps inside, lighter ones. The door flew open and Mia threw herself at me again, breathless. "You are staying," she grinned, like the world had just clicked back together. Over her head, Jenna watched me with careful hope, like any wrong word could break the scene. "You get the spare room," she said, keeping a safe distance. "No sharing, no touching, no pretending things are fine." I nodded once because it was the only way I could step across the threshold. Inside, the air felt thick with all the things we were not saying. We carried my bag down the short hall together, Mia chattering nonstop. She listed plans quicker than I could process them. "We can finish the series and you can come to school night and maybe coach soccer again." Each idea tightened the knot in my chest a little more. Her optimism felt like a loan I had no idea how to repay. When the door to the spare room clicked behind us, I finally exhaled. There was a bed, a small dresser, and not much else, which honestly helped. I tossed my bag down and sat on the edge of the mattress. Through the thin wall, I could hear Mia humming to herself, already calmer. Past that, somewhere deeper, I heard Jenna moving around, already adjusting. That night, lying on a mattress that was not mine, I stared at the ceiling. Every so often, a floorboard creaked in the hallway, then went quiet. I kept waiting for my anger to feel bigger than my guilt. Instead, all I could hear was Mia earlier, whispering that question about still being her dad. I told myself I came back for her, not for Jenna, and I had no idea how wrong that balance would go later. The first warning was a number I did not recognize on the bill. I stared at the list of calls, thumb dragging down slower each line. Same number again and again, late nights, long talks. It hit that ugly part of my brain that never really went back to sleep. "Do not do this again," I told myself out loud. My hand was already reaching for my phone to dial. I punched in the digits and lifted it to my ear. One ring, two, my pulse climbing with each one. It kicked a voicemail, no name, just a generic message. Behind me, I heard a door open and her footsteps in the hall. I hung up so fast my fingers slipped on the screen. "What are you doing?" Her tone had an edge, not even pretending casual. "Looking at our statement," I answered, holding the paper up. She barely glanced at it, already annoyed that I had it. "You checking up on me again, seriously?" My jaw tightened because yeah, that is exactly what I was doing. There is a number here I have never seen before. I tapped the page, not trusting myself to look at her yet. 40 minutes an hour, 70 minutes, always when I am in the other room. Silence stretched just long enough to confirm my fear. "It is a work thing," she muttered, arms crossing like a shield. "Funny schedule for a work buddy," I answered, eyes on her now. "What project needs an hour at midnight on a Tuesday?" She shifted her weight, fingers drumming against her arm. "You do not get to interrogate me forever, you chose to stay." That was true and still did not touch the new problem. I held my phone up and started to dial the number again. Her body reacted before her mouth did, a tiny flinch. "Stop it," she snapped, reaching out, fingers closing around my wrist. I pulled back, not hard, just enough to keep distance. "I just want to hear who answers, that is all." It rang and rang, long enough to feel deliberate. No pickup, no voice, just that recorded message again. Jenna's eyes stayed locked on mine the whole time, unblinking. When the call ended, she exhaled like she had been holding her breath. "You happy now?" she asked, but her voice did not match the words. "Is it him?" I asked, keeping my tone flat to keep from shouting. She looked away for the first time, down at her hands. "We talk sometimes," she admitted, almost too soft to catch. "He checks in, asks how I am doing, listens when you're cold with me." That final part stung in a different way, because there was some truth in it. "So you never really cut him off," I said, more statement than question. She frowned, like I was being unreasonable for wanting that. "We are not hooking up," she rushed, eyes flashing whiter now. "I just need someone who actually hears me. You shut down every time we fight." I laughed once, short and bitter, because she was still using my hurt as cover. "You built your safety net," while I moved into the guest room. I heard how harsh it came out, did not dial it back. "I took a step toward you, you left a back door wide open." Her hands balled into fists at her sides, shoulders tight. "You are not some hero for moving down the hall," she snapped. Here is the thing, part of me knew I was not a hero. Part of me also knew I deserved better than this endless half-truth. "You told me you blocked him," I reminded her, voice low. She looked toward the counter where her phone lay face down. "I unblocked later," she murmured, and that was the nail. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, and I hated that cliché thought. I turned away for a second, fighting the urge to break something. "You dragged me back into this home," with lies still running in the background. I gripped the edge of the table until my fingers hurt. "Do you get how insane that is, or are we past that stage?" Her anger shifted to something colder, more controlled. "You act like you own this place, like everything here is yours." She stepped closer, chin lifted, eye sharp now. "Newsflash, you keep forgetting one very important detail." I swallowed hard because some part of me already knew what was coming. "You are not on anything for her," she said, words landing like dropped stones. "Not the paperwork, not the hospital forms, nothing that matters legally." The sentence knocked the wind out of me more than the cheating talk. "I have full custody, I sign, I decide, I carry that responsibility on paper." She watched my face like she wanted to see the exact moment it broke. "Stop playing," I managed, throat tight as hell. "You put me on something, we went to that office once, remember?" She shook her head slowly, almost pitying. "We talked about it, you never filled the final stuff out." My memory scrambled, trying to pull any proof that she was wrong. She disappeared into the hallway and came back with a worn folder. Papers slid onto the table in front of me, neat piles. She flipped to one page with practiced fingers, like she had done this before. "Here is her birth certificate, here is the custody order with her father's name scratched out." My name was nowhere, just a ghost in the margins of their history. She tapped another page near the bottom, where a blank line waited. "That is where your signature would have gone if you had pushed for it." The way she framed it made it sound like my laziness had caused all this. "To the world out there, you are just the guy I live with," she added. Each word pressed the fact deeper, that she held all the power in this setup. I knew she was twisting it, but the core truth still burned. If she wanted, she could lock that door one day, and that would be it. No visits, no calls, nothing. I would be just another adult who disappeared. "You kept this angle in your back pocket the entire time," I said. She did not deny it, and that hurt more than any shouting would have. "Maybe now you will stop acting like you can dictate terms here." She folded the folder shut, slow, deliberate, like a judge closing a file. "You either accept what I can give, or you go back to that couch." Her voice went smoother, calmer, like she had already adjusted to both options. She knew exactly which threat cut deepest, and yeah, it worked. I walked down the hallway to the extra bedroom without another word. My hands started pulling clothes from drawers before my brain caught up. I grabbed what I could reach, stuffing it into the same bag as before. Every shirt I tossed in felt like another piece of the life I had tried to rebuild. Behind me in the doorframe, I could feel her watching but not stepping in. You are really leaving again? She finally asked, voice quieter now. I cannot stay in a house where I am both vital and disposable, I answered. I zipped the bag, the sound loud in the small room. You want me there for the hard parts, but you keep a line open to replace me. Her eyes went shiny, but no words came out for once. I carried the bag down the hall, each step echoing louder in my head. From the living room, the TV murmured low, some cartoon theme playing. Mia looked up from the couch, eyes lighting up for a second. The second she saw the bag, her whole expression dropped. Why are you packing? She asked, already knowing. I could not lie, not to her, not anymore. I need to step away for a bit, I started, voice unsteady. This grown-up situation is not working, and I need space to think. Her eyes filled so fast it almost did not look real. You promised you would not leave again, she choked out. I tried, I answered, which sounded pathetic even to me. I really tried to make this living arrangement work. I shot a glance toward Jenna, who stood frozen behind the couch. Mia followed my gaze and understood more than I wanted her to. So she messed up and I lose you, she snapped, small hands clenched. That line will live rent-free in my skull for a long time. I am not walking away from you, I insisted, stepping closer. I am walking away from something that keeps hurting all of us. She shook her head hard, tears sliding down fast. That does not help me at school tomorrow, she whispered. I knelt so we were eye level, legs shaking under me. You can call me, text me whenever you want, I told her. I will answer, I will show up if you need me, I am not disappearing. I meant every word, even if the adults in the room made that complicated. Behind us, I heard Jenna suck in a breath like she wanted to argue. Mia looked past me toward her mother. Are you making him go? She demanded, anger now mixing with hurt. Jenna shook her head quickly, hands up like she was under a spotlight. I am not kicking him out, he is choosing this path. That sentence hung there, turning slowly, cutting both ways. I stood bagstrap, biting into my shoulder. I could feel Mia's panic like heat against my back. Are you coming back tomorrow? She asked, voice trembling. The honest answer sat heavy on my tongue and refused to move. I do not know yet, I finally managed, and the look on her face told me that uncertainty was its own kind of betrayal. My phone buzzed across the table and almost hit the floor. Jenna's name filled the screen, second call in under a minute. I watched it ring out once, then it started again right away. My thumb hovered over decline, then I cursed it and hit accept. What? I did not bother adding anything polite. She hit someone at school, came out in one shaking breath. I sat up fast, heart spiking before my brain caught up. What do you mean, hit someone? The word sounded too loud. She punched a girl in the face, they called me out of work. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear, like that would change it. She is in the office right now, waiting on a parent conference. A fight, I repeated, trying to slow my thinking down. It is not some scuffle, she broke the other kid's nose, Jenna pushed. They said there was blood everywhere, the teacher almost called an ambulance. I dragged a hand down my face, feeling my pulse in my fingertips. Why did she do it? I already feared the answer. Jenna exhaled like the air hurt leaving her chest. The other girl called me a homewrecker, said you bilayed because of me. There it was, my private disaster turned into hallway gossip. And instead of ignoring it, she went straight for her, Jenna added. You know where she learned that temper, by the way. I bit down on my first reaction because she was not completely wrong. I have never been great at walking away from provocation. Still, the way she framed it made my jaw clench hard. What do you need from me? I asked, voice flat as I could manage. I already knew where this was going, I still asked. The principal wants a calm adult to sit in the meeting, she answered. Her words, not mine, someone stable who can actually talk to them. The dig landed, subtle but not subtle at all. She listens to you, you reframe things, you make people relax, Jenna added. I am barely holding it together, I will just cry in front of everyone. I looked around the tiny living room I had been crashing in for weeks. My friend was in the kitchen, pretending he could not hear every word. I am not her legal anything, remember, I said, that folder burned into memory. They are not obligated to include me, that is your territory. Silence stretched long enough to make my chest ache. You really want to play that card now? Jenna's voice dropped low. You helped raise her since she was barely out of diapers. She sniffed once, a wet sound she tried to swallow down. If you cared at all, you would be in the car already, she added. You left her, now she is out here swinging for you. That line cut deep. I am not going to pretend it did not. I stood without realizing, pacing the short distance to the window. You chose to blow up this family, not me, I shot back. I am not your backup adult anymore, that was the whole point of leaving. My knuckles tapped against the glass, sharp little beats of anger. So that is it, she asked, voice thinning out. You can sleep through her worst day so far. I pictured Mia in that office, legs dangling off a hard chair. I will not be there today, I said, each word heavy as hell. You are her parent on paper, you handle the fallout. There was a sharp inhale on the line, then nothing. The call cut off without a goodbye, just dead silence. I lowered the phone and stared at the black screen. My reflection looked back, tired eyes, clenched jaw. For a second I almost redialed, thumb hovering over her name. You finally drew a line, my friend called from the kitchen. He tossed a dish towel down and walked toward me slowly. That sounded brutal though, he added, rubbing the back of his neck. I let out a humorless little breath that wanted to be a laugh. I feel like I just shoved a kid into traffic, I muttered. She has a mother with 2 working legs, he replied. She can drive to school, sit in a chair, answer questions. He dropped onto the chair opposite me and leaned forward. You going will not fix the main problem, it just buys time, he added. I know it sucks, but you cannot keep being the bandage. He was right, and also not living my exact nightmare. It is easy to be logical when it is not your almost kid. I opened my mouth to argue, then my phone lit again. Unknown number this time, local, steady ringtone. I knew before I answered that it was the school. Hello, is this Nathan Carter? A firm voice asked, no warmth. This is the assistant principal at Mia's school. Your number is listed as additional guardian. The title twisted in my gut, extra guardian yet 0 rights. I wanted to inform you that she was involved in a serious incident, the woman continued. We have her mother here now, we would like all caregivers present. I shut my eyes for a second, pinching the bridge of my nose. I appreciate you contacting me, I said, trying to sound like an adult. Unfortunately, I am not available to attend this conference. A pause crackled through the line, then a faint sigh. Understood, I hope you will be able to support her from where you are. That last part felt like a judgment disguised as concern. Please let her know I am thinking about her, I added quickly. We will relay that, she replied, then the call ended. I dropped the phone onto the table a little harder than necessary. My friend watched me with raised eyebrows, waiting for the explosion. You still not going? He asked after a moment. I grabbed my keys from the bowl by the door, metal clinking. I am not going inside, I answered, which was technically different. He rolled his eyes, already reading me like an open book. Right, you will just circle the parking lot 3 times, he said. The drive to the school felt shorter than usual, maybe because my mind sprinted. Every red light made my chest tighten, every slow car irritated me. I ran through excuses I would give Jenna later, to Mia later. None of them sounded convincing, not even in my own head. By the time I pulled up, my palms were slick on the wheel. I parked far from the main entrance in a row half empty. From there, I had a clear view of the front doors and sidewalk. Kids moved in clumps, some laughing, some dragging backpacks. I scanned every face way too hard until I spotted her. There she was, walking between Jenna and a staff member. Even from a distance, I could read her posture, shoulders hunched. Her hands were jammed into her pockets, head lowered. Something white wrapped around one knuckle, a quick bandage. The sight hit me like a physical shove in the chest. I gripped the wheel so tight my fingers went numb. They stopped near the entrance while the staff member spoke. Jenna nodded along, lips pressed thin, eyes glossy. Mia stared at the ground, foot scraping the concrete slowly. For a split second her head lifted and she glanced toward the lot. My heartbeat climbed into my throat because I swore she looked right at my car. I ducked down a little like an absolute coward. I hated myself in real time while I did it. I told myself there was no way she could recognize my car from that distance. Still, my entire body moved on instinct, hiding behind the windshield frame. I listened to my own breath, harsh and uneven, inside the quiet interior. When I lifted my head again, they were heading through the doors. The staff member held the door open. Jenna touched Mia's shoulder gently. Mia walked past without reacting to the touch, face blank. The image of that went straight into the pile of things I replay at 3 a.m. I stayed frozen, engine off, like moving would commit me to a choice. Part of me wanted to throw the door open and stride inside. I pictured myself introducing who I was, sitting in that little office. Explaining that yes, she made a terrible choice, but she was not a monster. Trying to spin the story so they would not see only violence. Another part of me remembered that folder on the table and stayed put. You know that feeling when both options feel like betrayal? If I walked in, I betrayed the boundaries I finally tried to build. If I stayed out here, I betrayed the kid who once asked me to stay forever. I sat there long enough for the inside of the car to feel suffocating. Finally, I turned the key and cracked the window for air, still not driving away. After what felt like an hour, the doors opened again. This time it was just Jenna and Mia, no staff escort. Mia's eyes were red, though she was not crying anymore. She clutched a folded slip in one hand, knuckles tense. They headed toward the lot, moving slower now. I slid lower in the seat again, heart hammering like I was hiding from law enforcement. They walked past my row without turning their heads. For a second I thought I was in the clear. Then halfway across the asphalt, Jenna stopped and glanced back. Her eyes paused on my car, just long enough that I knew she saw me. She did not point, did not wave, did not break stride. She just looked, jaw tightening, then turned away and kept moving. Mia never turned around, never knew I was watching her limp off campus. I watched them climb into her car and sit there for a bit. I wondered what version of this day Mia was about to hear. Once they pulled out of the lot, I finally started my engine. I drove in the opposite direction, hands still shaking on the wheel. At the next light my phone chimed, one short message from Jenna. I saw you, it read, nothing else, no punctuation. Another followed before I could think of a reply. You watched us walk in there alone, you did nothing. The word stabbed deeper than any long paragraph. I stared at the screen until the light behind me turned green. Cars honked, I jerked forward, dropping the phone to the seat. I did not answer her, not then. I had nothing that would not blow everything up. That night, alone in the borrowed living room, I listened for my phone. Every vibration made my stomach flip, expecting her name or the school. What finally appeared was a notification from an unknown profile online. Just a friend request, no message, account with a photo of a cartoon cat. I had a bad feeling about who was hiding behind that picture, and I was right. I tapped the friend request before I could overthink it. The profile opened with that stupid cartoon cat staring back. No posts, no real name, just a username with random numbers. I hit accept, more curious than cautious at that point. A message bubble popped up almost instantly. Is this actually you or some fake? My fingers hovered over the keyboard, pulse way too loud. Depends who is asking, I typed, then erased it. I went with, yeah, it is me, who are you? 3 dots appeared, vanished, came back again. Took you long enough, it is me, Mia. My whole body went tight, like someone pulled every muscle. Why are you on here under a fake name, I wrote. So mom cannot snoop, came back right away. She blocks your number if she catches me using it. Then another line followed before I replied. You watched us at school, did you think I did not hear? I froze, thumb stuck over the screen. She told me you sat in the parking lot and did nothing. My first instinct was to deny it, I am not proud of that. Instead I typed, yeah, I was there, I stayed outside. Why? She shot back, not even a second delay. My brain scrambled for some grown-up explanation. I wanted to see you, but I was not allowed inside, I answered. You are an adult, you can walk through doors, she replied. I did not need another ghost in the car ride home. That line landed hard, sharper than any insult. I did not want to make it worse with the school, I tried. They already think I am trouble, how exactly would you hurt that, she wrote. I pictured her, thumbs flying, jaw clenched, tears she would never admit. From where I sat it looked like you bailaid twice, she added. Guilt settled in my chest like something heavy and metal. That was not me bailing, I typed slowly, choosing each word. I was trying to respect the boundary your mom threw in my face. Cool boundaries, she answered, the word practically dripping sarcasm. I got suspended, by the way, if you even care. That last part made my stomach twist because of course I cared. Of course I care, I answered, fingers hitting the screen too hard. I just heard about the fight, they told me what happened. Did they tell you why it happened? She shot back. She said you left because you were bored playing family. I closed my eyes, actual nausea rising for a moment. That is not true, I wrote, then paused. I left because your mom kept lying and seeing someone else behind my back. 3 dots appeared, then nothing, then appeared again. Yeah, she mentioned that part, then said you forgave her, Mia answered. I stared at the sentence, feeling something tear a little. I tried to forgive, I really did, I wrote. But she never really stopped, she still kept him around. So you hate her so much you walked away from me too, came back. It is fine, just say it, I can handle it. That last line was a lie, and we both knew it. I do not hate you, I typed fast, not even thinking. You are the only reason I stuck around as long as I did. Funny way of showing it, she replied, no pause this time. You missed the meeting, you stopped paying for my after-school thing. That second hit caught me off guard. What after-school thing, I wrote, though I already guessed. The club you used to cover every month, she answered. Mom said you canceled it, so now I go straight home and stare at walls. I rubbed my forehead, feeling a headache start to pulse. I did not cancel it to punish you, I wrote. I cannot keep sending money like before, we are not together anymore. So she was right, you are done with both of us, came back. Once the fun part ended, so did the charity. That word dug under my skin and stayed there. This was never charity, I replied, hands shaking slightly. I loved being there with you, I still do. Then why did you not sign anything she sent? She told me you did not even try to be official, you just played pretend. I felt my jaw clench, eyes burning hot. Listen, I started, then erased half the sentence. Grown-ups messed up the paperwork, it is not that simple. I get it, she wrote, not buying any of it. You did not want to be stuck if you changed your mind. That is what everyone says when they leave, by the way. I stared at that line for a long time, thumb hovering. Part of me wanted to scream that I had pushed, that I had asked. Part of me knew how useless that sounded from her side of the screen. I never planned to walk away from you, I typed. Things got toxic between me and your mom, and it kept spilling on you. Things were already toxic before you left, she answered. At least then someone actually came to my games and looked happy. I remembered every weekend on those sidelines, yelling like an idiot. I still want to show up, I wrote back, heart pounding. I just cannot keep doing it on your mom's terms, it wrecks me. So you are protecting your feelings and I just deal with it, she sent. Cool, thanks for the honesty at least. The little online status dot next to her name flicked off, then on. I imagined her tossing her phone aside, wiping her face angrily. My thumbs hovered, words piling up behind them. I started typing a long block, no filter at all. I wrote about the night with the texts, the second number. I wrote about the spare room, the bill, the folder with blanks. I even wrote that line about being vital and disposable at the same time. Reading it back made me sound bitter and tired and old. I held my finger over send, then hit delete instead. The whole confession vanished in a blink, leaving an empty box. It felt like erasing a scream in the middle of my own throat. I tried again, shorter this time. You did nothing wrong, I wrote, trying to keep it clean. Adults screwed this up, not you, you just caught the pieces. I watched the dots, hoping she was still there. Nothing, just the silent chat window and my own reflection in the glass. Minutes crawled by, each one heavier than the last. Finally, the phone vibrated in my hand. You are still punishing me for her, she wrote. You say you are not, but every time you back off, I am the one losing something. That might be the most accurate sentence anyone has ever thrown at me. I sat there staring at it, feeling every word land one by one. I do not know how to fix this without hurting you more, I answered. That sounds like a you problem, she replied. I already lost no matter what you pick. The status dot went gray again and stayed that way. I sent another message anyway. I am here if you want to call anytime, I mean that. No answer, no dots, just silence that felt heavier than any fight. I set the phone down, then grabbed it back up 5 seconds later. I checked the app, checked the connection, checked everything but myself. The chat still sat open on the last sentence she sent. I already lost, replayed in my head like a stuck track. I typed one more thing, slower than all the others. I love you, that has not changed, not once. Then I backspaced over the word love, panic hitting for no good reason. I rewrote it as I care about you more than anyone, that will not change. It still looked weak on the screen, but I pressed send. After a long stretch of nothing, I saw one final notification. Stop saying that if you're not going to be here, she wrote. I cannot keep believing people when they promise they will stay. The dot next to her name went dark for good this time. A second later, the chat window flashed a small banner. User has changed their privacy settings. That is the Paul. Way apps tell you that you're locked out. I tapped her profile picture and got an error message. It felt stupid, getting dumped by a kid through a cartoon cat account. I sat there with the screen glowing in my hand, then sent one last text that might never deliver. Do you actually want me in your life, or should I disappear for real? I watched the message status sit on sending longer than it should. No read receipt, no typing bubble, just that stubborn little clock icon. Eventually the screen dimmed and my own reflection took over again. I did not know which answer I feared more, the yes that would drag me back, or the no that would finally prove I had already failed her. The text came in while I was halfway through a sandwich. Call me about Mia, it is urgent. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over her name. Part of me wanted to ignore it until morning. I hit call anyway because apparently I still leaned toward pain. She is failing almost everything, Jenna blurted before hello. She is skipping assignments, snapping at teachers, they want to hold her back. A chair scraped on her side like she was pacing circles. The counselor suggested a tutor and more structure at home, she added. Which is where you come in, obviously. There it was, the hook hidden in concern. I leaned back, pressing my head against the wall. What exactly are you asking me to do? I said slowly. She rushed in like I had already agreed. Help her study, talk to her, cover the tutor if you can. So money again, plus emotional labor, plus blame if it failed. Why now? I asked, even though I already knew. Because she listens when you speak, Jenna answered, voice rough. Because she still checks her phone hoping you will reach out. That last part hit somewhere old and bruised. I cannot keep stepping in whenever things explode, I told her. This half-distance thing is wrecking me and confusing her. She sighed hard, then shifted tactics like always. Forget me, think about her, she is drowning here, she pushed. If you cared, you would at least meet and hear her out. That line did its job, I will not lie. Set something up in a public place, I said. Just me and her, no triangles, no side commentary. She paused, surprised I was not refusing outright. Okay, tomorrow after school, that coffee place near the bus stop. I got there 20 minutes before the time we picked. I sat near the window, facing the door, leg bouncing nonstop. Every teenager who walked in made my heart jump, then drop. I rehearsed a dozen openings and hated every one. By the time she arrived, my throat was already dry. She walked in with her hands jammed in her pockets. Hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes, expression guarded. When she spotted me, her mouth twitched like she was undecided. She came over anyway, sliding into the chair across from me. You look older, she said, not quite joking. I laughed once too loud, then toned it down. You look taller, I answered because that felt safe. She shrugged, glancing around, checking who might be listening. Mom waited outside, she muttered, flicking her gaze toward the door. She promised she would not come in unless we yell. I followed her look and saw the familiar car parked nearby. Jenna's silhouette sat behind the wheel, phone glowing faintly. So much for neutral territory, but I let it slide. So I started, then realized I had nothing light to say. She bailaid me out before the silence got painful. You heard I am tanking school, she said, picking at a napkin. The casual tone did not match how tight her jaw was. Congratulations, I finally beat your high score in something. I winced because I deserved that hit. Yeah, your mom mentioned you are having a rough time. That is one way to put it, she muttered, eyes on the table. I cannot focus, I do not see the point, everything feels stupid. She tore the napkin into small bits, lining them up. When teachers talk, I just hear noise, then I start thinking instead. Thinking about what? I asked, leaning forward. About how everyone leaves, she said like it was obvious. About how I hit one girl once and now that is my label. She tapped her chest 3 times, like stamping a name tag. Angry, violent, messed up, that is what they see. Her eyes flashed up at me, daring me to disagree. You are not just that moment, I answered, fighting my own guilt. That punch came from hurt, not from you being evil inside. Great, she snorted, so I am hurt and dangerous, what a combo. A beat passed, her shoulders sagged a fraction. I know I scared her, I do not even feel good about it. That last sentence floored me more than the rest. So why keep spiraling, I asked, not accusing, honestly confused. She blew out a slow breath, cheeks puffing briefly. Because nothing feels solid now, I keep waiting for something else to crack. Grades, friendship, sleep, it is. All already halfway broken. The urge to fix everything in one speech hit hard. I swallowed it down because that always backfires. I heard they suggested a tutor, maybe extra help after class, I said. Her eyes narrowed a little, like she was tracing the trail. She sent you the email, did she ask for money too? Straight to the heart of it, like always. She mentioned a cost, yeah, I admitted, fingers curling around my cup. And she asked if I would help you go over stuff. Mia laughed, short and humorless, shaking her head. Of course she did, you are her favorite problem solver. That is not fair to you, I said, chest tight. You should not need me for her to handle basic parenting. She looked up sharply at the word parenting. I kind of did need you though, she said, voice wobbling once. You were the only one who felt steady for a long time. I swallowed hard, feeling that old mix of pride and shame. I am sorry I added more chaos when I left like that. My words came out lower, almost a rasp. Watching from parking lots and texting from another couch, that was cowardly. I was trying to protect myself and ended up hurting you more. She blinked a few times fast, like she refused to cry here. So what now, she asked, pushing the napkin pieces into a pile. Do you swoop back in and rescue my transcripts, or what? The way she said it made the whole thing sound like a bad movie. I am not a superhero, you know that by now. I know you are human, she said, picking at one thumb. I just kept hoping you would be the one human who stayed anyway. That got me right in the center of my chest. I want to, I answered, and it came out before I filtered it. I just cannot keep doing it on rules your mom rewrites weekly. She sat back, folding her arms tight across herself. So your peace of mind wins, she said, eyes sharp again. You would rather feel safe than deal with her games to be near me. There was zero softness in how she put it, which made it worse. Tell me I am wrong, I dare you. The ugly part is I could not. You are not completely wrong, I said, staring at my hands. If I keep letting her yank me back and forth, I will snap. And if I snap, I will say things you do not deserve to hear. And trust me, you do not need one more adult exploding. She watched me for a long moment, breathing slow and shaky. So the solution is what, you disappear so you do not yell, she asked. You think that feels better than hearing you lose at once. I did not have a good defense, just a pile of half-truths. Sometimes the clean cut hurts less than constant ripping, I managed. That is something people say before they walk away, she replied. She made a little snipping motion with 2 fingers between us. Snip, clean cut, congratulations, I am officially free trauma now. The sarcasm cut deeper than if she had screamed. You realize I will blame myself either way, she added quietly. Hearing her name it out like that made my stomach drop. I cannot stop you from feeling that, I said, voice tight. But I can say this as many times as you will hear it. You did not cause what your mom did or how I reacted. You are carrying fallout from choices that were never yours. She looked away, jaw clenching, eyes wet but stubborn. People at school tell me I pick fights fast, she murmured. They say I twist little comments into attacks, they are not wrong. She rubbed her forehead like it ached deep. I keep waiting for someone to flip on me, so I swing first. That right there is what I mean about her paying. Have you talked to the counselor honestly, I asked. Like told her this part, not just the suspension story. She takes notes and smiles, then calls my mom, Mia answered. Why would I hand her more ammo to throw around conferences? I could not argue with that, sadly. Maybe there is another adult at school you trust even a little, I suggested. A teacher, a coach, someone who has seen you on good days too. She snorted, rolling her eyes toward the ceiling. Most of them think I am a time bomb with sneakers. We sat in that heavy quiet for several seconds. I could feel the moment slipping away, 1 inch at a time. I can help you find a tutor online, I said finally. I can cover a few sessions, get you through the worst parts. But I cannot go back to being the emergency parent on call. She stared down at the table like it had betrayed her. So a little money, a few study tips, then fade out, she said. At least you are honest about the exit plan this time. That sting was deserved, even if it burned. I do not want to vanish, I just cannot stay woven into your house. Your line is the front door, she muttered. If you have to cross into our living room, that is too close. She dragged in a breath and let it out slow. I used to think love meant you stay even when it sucks. Now it just looks like everyone choosing their limit and bouncing. That one almost made me reach across the table. Instead, I wrapped my hands around my cup so I would not. Love also means not turning into someone you hate, I answered. I was on that road and I did not like the version of me showing up. And you do not need that guy hovering over your homework. She went quiet again, the anger draining into something duller. If I get held back, it is on me then, she said. If I flunk out later, that is on me too. She laughed once without humor, shaking her head. At least that part is simple, I can control wrecking my own record. That is not what I want for you, I said quickly. I want you to have more options than I had, more self-respect. She gave me a look that said she had heard that speech before. You want a lot of good things from a safe distance, she replied. Kind of like watching from a parking spot again. That one knocked the air out of me more than I expected. You were right about that day, I admitted. I was a coward, I should have walked in and stood beside you. I cannot redo it, I can only say I regret it every week. You deserved better than seeing my car and not my face. Her throat bobbed, eyes shining harder now. If I forgive you for that, do you stick around? She asked. I hesitated, which was already its own answer. She caught it instantly and sat back, hands dropping to her lap. Yeah, she muttered, thought so. I leaned forward anyway, because walking back now would be worse. You do not owe me forgiveness, I said, heart pounding. What I owe you is honesty, even if it makes you hate me. I will always care about you, I will always hope you do well. But I cannot promise to be there every time you stumble. She looked at me for a long time, eyes searching my face. Then stop using that word, she whispered. Do not throw around always if you are halfway out the door. The hurt in her voice cut cleaner than any curse. If you mean sometimes, just say sometimes. That might be the most grown thing I have ever heard from her. Okay, I said, swallowing hard, my eyes starting to burn. I will sometimes be able to answer, sometimes show up, sometimes fail. I will keep cheering for you even when we are not speaking. And that is the only promise I can make without lying. She laughed through her tears, a broken little sound. Terrible sales pitch, by the way, she muttered, wiping her cheek. Nobody would buy that subscription. I smiled for half a second, then it faded. Maybe you should not have to buy pieces of people at all, I said. We both knew the talk was over, even if we kept sitting. Outside, I saw Jenna's car still waiting at the curb. Mia followed my gaze, then looked back at me. She will want a full report when I get in, she said. What do you want me to tell her? Tell her I will send some money for a tutor, I answered. Tell her I am not coming back into the house, not for dinners, not for holidays. The words tasted bitter and final, but I forced them out. Tell her this is between you and me now, not me and her. Mia nodded slowly, like she had expected that part. What do I tell myself? She asked, voice suddenly small again. I had nothing wise in my pocket for that. Tell yourself you deserved adults who did not turn everything into a battlefield, I said. Tell yourself their failures are not proof you are unlovable. And tell yourself you get to grow past all of this, even if we are not walking together. She pressed her lips together, then stood up. For a second, I thought she would just walk out without touching me. Instead, she stepped around the table and wrapped her arms around my shoulders. It was a fierce, shaking hug that felt like a goodbye and a dare. Do not answer if I drunk text you in 5 years, she murmured near my ear. I snorted, a half-laugh, half-sob that I tried to swallow. In 5 years I hope you are too busy doing something better, I said. She pulled back, eyes red, nose sniffing hard. Yeah, she muttered, me too. Then she turned and headed for the door before I could overthink it. I watched from inside as she crossed the sidewalk. She opened the car door, froze for a second, then climbed in. Even from there, I could see Jenna turning toward her, hands flying as she talked. Mia leaned her head back against the seat, eyes closed, mouth a flat line. The car pulled away, and just like that, I was on the outside again. Here is the part I hate admitting. I did not chase them. I did not text her later that night. I sent the money for a tutor, a short note to Jenna with conditions. Use it for Mia or send it back, no more surprise calls, no more guilt trips. Then I stepped back and tried to live with the quiet I had chosen. I still hear about her sometimes, through people who do not know they are updating me. Someone mentions a girl who almost dropped out and clawed her way back. Someone else talks abo. About a kid who will argue every rule but defends weaker kids hard. Every story sounds like her, sharp edges and weird loyalty mixed together. I tell myself she is building something sturdier than what we gave her. Do I know for sure? No, I do not. What I know is this. Her mother made the first fracture and kept picking at it. I tried to patch it with love and then ripped the bandage off badly. And now a teenager walks around carrying trust issues that belong to both of us. People online love clear villains and spotless victims. If you want that version, I am the guy who bailaid when it got complicated. If you want the one where I am a saint, you will not find it here. I loved a child who was never mine on any document, then chose to stop fighting her mother. And whether that was survival or cowardice, Mia is the one still learning how to live with it.